good morning. This is Adam here from RSCM in Queensland, and here it's early May in 2020 and we're in the middle of lockdown restrictions. So I'm here at Nazareth today, the church where I'm organist in my capacity as organ trustee, just to make sure that the organ's being okay without being played, and we're having cooler weather and stuff as well at the moment. And while I was here, I thought I'd do a video. RSCM for a number of years now has been very interested in a series called Meet Your Church Music Neighbours, which is about getting together for a morning tea with those that do church music in your local area, and you get to meet them because we all do the same thing or similar things at the same time and never really get to network. Of course, we can't really do that at this point because we're not able to gather. But one of the things that we thought we could do is start a series of videos where you're able to connect with people's situations, organs and other things, to see what church music is doing around in the community, albeit maybe not right now because of the COVID-19 restrictions. So that's the purpose of this video, and as you'll see, it's unedited, it's very raw. We're not asking for very much of people who would like to make a contribution, but just to give people that sense of community and that we are in this together, and that when we get back into our places to worship, that we'll be able to create inspiring music still. So I thought I'd give you a bit of a tour of my situation here at Nazareth, as it usually is, and I thought I would start with the building. So I'll just turn this camera around so you can see this beautiful building. It's a Thursday morning at the moment, so lovely light coming in. This congregation is a very old congregation, almost 160 years old, and this church is well over 100 years old. However, in 2000 it was actually burnt down by arson attack, so it was built again after 2000 exactly as it was. One of the things that you probably noticed that you don't see is, other than the centre aisle and around the altar, there is no carpet. The majority of the floor is still timber, which means, as you can probably hear in this recording, that it's a very resonant acoustic when you blend it with the bricks and the timber ceiling. So very fortunate here to have that. Also very fortunate to have this, a 2005 Pierce pipe organ, 2-manual, in the North German style. And actually, because I'm here to check on the instrument, I thought I'd actually take you for a bit of a tour, because I need to do that anyway, so I'll just remove the camera. So the way the organ is situated is up the top is the great manual, or Hauptwerk as it's called in German, and just above the console there, behind the swell shades, you see the Brustwerk, or swell, that you might know from elsewhere. Quite a compact design. The pipework is in a fairly narrow chamber, and it's accessed by this ladder, which I'll seamlessly do whilst holding the camera. Underneath the platform that I'm standing on now is the bellows, and you can probably hear also the blower. And in here is the Hauptwerk pipework, which you can see there. And much to my comfort, everything still seems fairly in place. On the left and right hand sides of this is the sub bass 16 pedal that you can just see off to the sides, hopefully there. So very glad to see that everything seems to be in order there. So just bear with me a second whilst I descend again, which is a bit of a challenging organ shoes too, with nice slippery soles. There we go. So I'll clip this back in here. There we go. Right. So back to this. In terms of sounds that we have, we've got 14 stops here across the 2 manuals and pedal. The pedal, we have a flute 8-foot, very soft but versatile kind of a stop, and we also have a sub bass, which as you go down, because it's the only 16, it gets quite heavy. So from the second bottom C, so it's quite heavy there at the bottom, which gives the whole instrument some good support. In terms of the Hauptwerk, or great, there's an 8-foot flute, hall flute. we have a series of principals. So here's the 8, and I'll put the 4 and 2 with it. So. Also on the grate we have quint 3-foot that just adds a little bit more colour. So if I play a chord and then put it on, hopefully you'll hear it. So this is with the 8, 4 and 2 and then adding the quint. So a little bit different, but where it comes into its own a bit more is when it's put with, say, the 8-foot for a bit more colour. So there's just the 8-foot, and then when I add the 3, and then of course, like all good North German organs, we have quite a bright mixture. So if I put the principal chorus on of 8, 4 and 2 and then add that mixture, you'll definitely hear it. So that's the Hauptwerk. On the Brustwerk, we have quite an interesting layout. So no 8-foot principal. It's actually voiced on an 8-foot gedackt. Very soft, lovely. With that is a 4-foot flute, raw flute. A little bit out of tune, please excuse that. But then actually there is a 2-foot principal, so quite unique in terms of that layout. But again, even with just the 8 and 4-foot flutes below, it's still very nice. There's a quint, 1 and a 3rd. And a bit like the quint 3-foot on the grate, you know, lovely just when you put it with the 8-foot on the same manual. Along the same lines, we have a cornet from middle C. And then the only reed on the organ, fabulous reed, an 8-foot crumb horn. Which for some Baroque things you may actually be a little bit naughty and couple that into the pedal to get a bit more of a reedy kind of a feel. Kind of a thing. So that's what we have. Now it's only a 14-stop organ, so you know you would think that there's not a huge amount of variety. And what I wanted to show you just briefly is that you know that there is actually a fair bit that you can do even with this stop list. So I'm going to play just a little bit of from the Orgelbuchlein, Ich ruf zu dir, just to give you a bit of an idea of the sorts of things you can do and talk my way through it as I go. So you know the most obvious registration that you might do for something like this is what I've got here is I've got a couple of flutes on the Brustwerk with the cornet to give the melody. And then I've just got the 8-foot principal actually on the Hauptwerk. You could use the flute and just the 16-foot in the pedal. So to give you a bit of an idea of what this would sound like. You get the idea. Just as easily, you could actually swap the manuals around and you could use, say, the 8-foot prestant with the quint for the melody and just accompanying with the flutes on the Brustwerk. That would sound something like this. Again, you get the idea. You could even just use the 2-foot for the same effect. You could even use the crumb horn if you wanted to. Wouldn't that be great? You could use the 8 and 4 and you could use the quint for the melody. So there are dozens of other options too. So you know it is fairly versatile, particularly for this music. You can get quite a wide range there. As for what we do in terms of the liturgy here at Nazareth, we have a sung liturgy that we do most Sundays. It's based on plain chant, And I thought I'd just play a very small excerpt for you to get a bit of an idea of how it will flow in a service. It will of course be much softer because I want to sing at the same time. This is the short Gloria that we sing as part of the opening liturgy. So there's just a very short little few notes of the introduction and then we go in. Glory to the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and will be forevermore. Amen. That's a good point in this video, that it doesn't need to be well prepared or well rehearsed, it's just to give you a bit of an idea. So that's kind of the things that I wanted to cover on the organ. I thought I'd just leave by playing you something, and I might just zoom the camera out so you're not in my personal space. No offence. And just sort of maybe put it there. I'm going to play a piece that I'm working on at the moment. I've not yet taken it to my teacher. I am only a beginner organist, but I'm going to play you the little E minor prelude from the 8 little preludes and fugues that were formerly ascribed to Bach. In terms of registration, to give you an idea, I'm just going to give you the 8 and 4 foot principles on the Hauptwerk with both pedal stops on, just to give you a bit of a feel of what the main sound of the organ is. So please enjoy. So yes, it's still a bit more work for me to do there, but we're getting there, and at least it gives you an idea of the sort of sound we're working with here. So I hope you've enjoyed this brief look at my church music environment as it usually is. I'd encourage you to please submit your own videos of your own places if you are in a position at the moment to do so, and if not, perhaps that's something you might look at when we get a bit closer to normal. So thanks very much for tuning in. Hope you've enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing your church music environment. Thank you.